afternoon and welcome to PBC Jamaica's continuing live coverage of the Regional Conference on Intellectual Properties and the Creative Industries. It's being held at the UWI's regional headquarters here on Mona Road in St. Andrew, Jamaica. And this is day 3 of the conference, in fact, the final day. We've had 2 days of interesting discussion, policy discussions on intellectual property, rights, roles, and the creative industries as well. And so on day 3, we thought we'd have a panel discussion just before we enter into our final session for the afternoon during this lunch break here to talk a little bit about the creative industries in relation to Vision 2030 and to the talents of Jamaicans and how we can create the right platform to ensure that the creative energies of our Jamaican people are unleashed. And with me for this afternoon for the panel discussion here on PBC Jamaica is Mr. Mark Thomas to my immediate right. He is the Communications Director at the JAMPRO, that's Jamaica Promotions, used to be Jamaica Trade and Invest, now back to JAMPRO. To Mr. Thomas's immediate right, we have Lily Claire Bellamy, and of course her name rolls off your tongue, doesn't it? She is the Deputy Director at the Jamaica Intellectual Property Office, JIPO. And to Ms. Bellamy's right is Mr. Robert Scott. He is the Vice President of Trade and Business Development at JAMPRO. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us live on PBC Jamaica. Of course, I'm Naomi Francis, and I'll be guiding you along with this discussion. Let's start off first with Lady Claire Bellamy, because you play a critical role at JIPO in terms of ensuring that people fully understand really the role of JIPO and to the creative industries and what we can do as Jamaicans to get our intellectual property out. So let's start off first by looking at the creative industries in relation to Vision 2030.
Okay, thank you so
Yes,
much for having
your mics are right there.
Thank you so much for having me.
Go ahead.
No, in terms of, well, I must say at the outset, you can only get what you put into your intellectual property. So, for example, if you've created a work, which is how we refer to things in intellectual property as works, you need to protect it, because in the absence of protection, it belongs to no one. So if you, for example, if you go into a store and you purchase something and you take it outside and you leave it on the sidewalk, chances are somebody will take it up. They probably won't take it to the police station. They'll say, oh, wow, look, I'm lucky, I found this. Exactly. So if you create something, we encourage you to utilize the intellectual property rights system to protect it. And in the creative industries, the areas in which you can get your protection would be under copyright, trademarks, patents, designs, and also geographical indications. And trade secrets also offers protection. In terms of Vision 2030 and how that works with the creative industries, I'm not sure how many persons have actually read our Vision 2030, but I'd encourage people to go to the Planning Institute of Jamaica's website, which has the same letters as JIPO.
Yes.
They could visit that website, and if you don't really want to do a lot of reading, you could go to the executive summary of the Vision 2030 document. And if you look at that executive summary, it will show you what the goals are and what the expected outcomes are. And there is a specific...
Yes. Let's pause a second then on those goals and expected outcomes, because one of them would be a target set to achieve the level of top 4 developed countries by 2015 and exceed the proposed economic growth rates for Jamaica by 2030. That sounds like jibby jabber for a lot of people. So then let's break it down a little bit, even as we have JAMPRO here. Yes, go ahead before we get Mr. Scott and Ms. Bellamy.
So basically, the section that is our focus would be the section on the transformational culture. So what we're doing is moving away from the traditional way of looking at development to recognizing what is our innate and specific ability in this country and our creativity. We're well known worldwide for our creativity. And the creative industries, depending on your definition, can cover a wide range of activities. And this moves from sports to theater, to the arts, to advertising, to animation. Just think of it. That is creative industries, even in the area of agriculture, because you can get geographical protection, and that is the added value, which is what we need to go at. We can't plant acres and acres of anything, but we have the ability to earn significant amount from what we do produce when we protect it as a geographical indication. So what the creative industries document in the Vision 2030 shows is what areas are focused on and the different agencies of government and ministries. And we also have to remember that the Vision 2030 document is not limited to the government. It is a holistic document that looks at civil society, private sector, public sector. It touched and concerned everybody in this country, and all of us had a role to play in the development of that document. And what we need to understand is that it wasn't a document that was created and put down, but there are medium-term goals. So if you want to know where we are in terms of what you just asked, you can contact the PIOJ. Mr. Lumsden, who was our moderator on one day, he's actually the person with specific responsibility for the Vision 2030 document, and he could give you more specific information on it. I'm biased, of course, towards the IP aspect of it, because we do have a policy that looks at the creative industries, and it recognizes that the small, medium, and micro-sized enterprises are critical to the development of our creative industry sector.
Let me get Mr. Scott in for a minute, because certainly JIPO would play a major role then when we look at the creative industries, and that exportable product we have, which is an idea, is a thing that we can create that we call wholly owned Jamaica. What's a platform then that JIPO is putting together to ensure that our people are able to do that seamlessly?
Well, let me first dive into that Vision 2030, and I remember downloading it and reading it a couple of times.
Yes.
And what inspires me is the place of choice for us to live, grow, raise our families, and live. That's how I paraphrase it. So what we're looking at then is a key component of that happening is prosperity. And as my colleague said a while ago, that we are amazingly creative persons. So the question then is, you have a talent. How do you package that talent to be able to export it? And that's where JIPO comes in. Because a lot of persons are saying, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, but I'm broke. It simply means that they have not been able to package that into something that is useful on the international market.
But we're a culture that has not even embraced people and encouraged them to do that either. That idea that says, you know, we have the greatest idea, but how can we fully export it and explore it?
True, and a lot of that ties back to our culture, because maybe that's why we're employed, because our children our parents told us to study hard, get a good job, retire at 65, that sort of thing. So part of all this process here is letting people know that it's great. It's all right for you to take your skills and try and export them. And yes, another element of our culture is that we don't really appreciate failure. Well, we all know that you'll never get it right the first time. You have to do it several times. So JIPO, through our creative industries department, is geared towards helping individuals package their products for export. We look at Tessa and Chin, and we recall quite fondly that we took her to MIDEM in France some years before. So there's varying layers of support that we give to individuals. For example, we like to say that at JIPO, we are the godparents of the animation